Ukuziphakamisa kwakho kuzokwenza wehlulwe.
So it's been just 9 months since Civilization V Gods and Kings came out, and already we are on the cusp of a brand new expansion pack. Brave New World was announced about a month ago, and last week I got a chance to check it out for myself, as well as chat with the lead designer Ed Beach. Perhaps the most significant change in Brave New World is the new cultural victory scenario. Gone is the grind to build as many cultural producing buildings and wonders as possible. Instead, there's an entirely new resource for you to worry about, called tourism.
Tourism represents sort of how attractive your culture is to the rest of the world. So you can build up your culture, which will spread your culture borders and will let you have social policies, and that's sort of building up your own internal culture to your people. But tourism is what makes your culture shine to the rest of the world. So you create that through great works created through great writers, great musicians, and great artists. You can also create great works through our archaeology system by extracting artifacts of ancient battles. And all those things get packed into your cultural buildings, like your museums and your opera houses. And those are amazing magnets for people from around the world to want to come and visit them, especially if you have some of those strongest ones of those, like the Louvre, the Uffizi Museum that we've added, that's representing the Great Art Museum from Florence, the Globe Theatre, Broadway, those kind of things. Right. And all those can be set up with just the right combination of great works in there, so you get a great bonus from them. And if you do that, then all of a sudden you're generating a lot of tourism per turn. And that tourism is sort of your offensive spread of your cultural system to the rest of the world. And it's going to affect other people, especially those who have had a weak cultural presence in the game. A lot of people who have tested it have likened it to the military victory, where you might be playing for it from the beginning of the game, but based on what the other civilizations in the world are doing, it may just not be, that path may not actually be open for you or not.
Right.
The diplomatic victory and the space victory, those, you know, they're always there waiting for you at the end of the tech tree. Mm-hmm. But the cultural and the military victories are very dependent on how the other civs in the game are playing.
Right.
And which ones are in. You know, if you have, it's always been true that if Genghis and Attila were around, it's going to be tough to win a military victory in that game. And they're big culture players in Brave New World, and you're going to see them in the games, and maybe you'll be able to take them on culture, and that will be your greatest cultural victory ever. But you know, it may be hard to take on France or Brazil, who's one of the new civilizations that's very good at culture.
The result is something that, at least in my short time with the game, felt much more dynamic than the old system. The new archaeology system is especially cool. The game actually remembers old skirmishes or fallen cities from the early stage and designates those as historical sites. You can then use archaeologists to build landmarks around them, or take artifacts and place them in a museum. And you can even take artifacts from sites on city-state lands, or even another civilization if you have an open border deal. Another big addition is the new trade route system, which is available from pretty much the start of the game.
It's going to affect strategies on how you build up your own empire, how you interact with the other empires in the game, how you build up your economic, monetary strength, whether you emphasize that over things like spreading religion or getting science. And so there's so many different facets to that we found that's a really deep system that you're going to have to engage with to figure out how not only early your own empire is going to develop, but how you're going to use those trade routes late in the game to help get you to victory.
The trade routes are not managed exclusively in menus either. Each trade route has either a caravan or a ship assigned to it, so while a distant colony might make for a more lucrative trade route, it does increase the chances of ambush. You can also set up trade routes within your own cities, sending them food or production, which can help get a new city off the ground, or can assist in the production of a big project or wonder. Of course, it would not be a new Civilization expansion pack without several new leaders to choose from. They've got 9 that's going to be included with Brave New World, and they've already announced Assyria, Brazil, and Poland, and Ed was able to share 2 more from the list of unannounced civilizations.
The fan favorite, the Zulu, are back. Yet another military civ, very different path than Assyria's. They swarm you with numbers, especially in the pre-gunpowder era. And the last one they're announcing this week is Portugal. And Portugal is your dominant naval trade civ, array of bonuses on that side of the game, and they're going to be able to build up a naval trading empire that's unrivaled by anyone else in the game.
Another big new system is the ideology system. As civilizations enter the industrial age, we'll have to decide from 3 different ideologies, which will of course have diplomatic implications, but they also carry a set of tenets which are kind of similar to the boost that you got from religion in Gods and Kings.
One thing that we haven't talked about today that is an important new element of the new systems are the 20th century clash between the major ideologies of the world. So we have communism fighting fascism, fighting the democratic societies, and that's something that becomes the key struggle, sort of the pivotal conflict late in the game. Every nation in the world has to pick one of those ideologies, take one of the sides in that three-sided conflict, and that's who your diplomatic partners are going to be late in the game. I looked at what was trying to be done when sort of the early idealistic visions of communism and even fascism were created. And they were trying to create strong central societies that would chart an amazing vision of the future. Maybe not a vision that, you know, represents the individual freedoms that we're used to, but they thought they had a great vision of the world. And that's exactly what happens in Brave New World, the book, as well. Because if you look at that, that's a big state-controlled society. Everyone is kept happy by certain happiness-inducing drugs that they're taking. Very interesting setup. But they thought they had the vision for the Brave New World, just like all of the three ideologies that are in the game. And if you look at when Huxley wrote that book, he wrote it in like the 20s and 30s. It's the same period when fascism and communism were considered actual alternatives to how the world might want to, you know, roll out its future and how the 20th century could have unfolded. And so I feel like that's one of the ways you can role play this game. You can actually try to establish a culture of victory as a communist player and spread the dictatorship of the proletariat across the world and establish the great worker society that maybe Marx or Lenin thought was possible at the time. And so that seems to be very Brave New World-ish. You're picking your Brave New World. It might be a strong government. It might be the individual freedoms we're used to. And then you're trying to roll to victory in Civ 5 and set that up for yourself.
Obviously, there's a ton of stuff that we didn't get to talk about. For instance, there's a new World Congress system which refines the diplomatic endgame and adds several interesting wrinkles. And even the religion from gods and kings has been expanded on in this game to make it a little more relevant past the early and mid stages of the game. And the good news is that Brave New World includes the religion and espionage systems from gods and kings. So the only thing you're missing if you skipped out on that expansion pack are the 9 civilizations and those scenarios. So obviously we only got to play a very small chunk of the game, but based on what I've seen so far, I could not be more excited for Brave New World. It's coming to PC in July with a Mac date shortly thereafter, and I have a feeling that we're going to be learning a lot more about the game as we get closer to that release date. So be sure you stay right here on Rev3 Games.